Sustaining Exemplar presentations this morning. So again, I'm Janet Christensen. I serve on the PBIS leadership team or management team at the State Department or Minnesota Department of Education, and also the EBD specialist. Before we begin, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to our recognition work group and all of the folks here on this institute for doing so much work to get in your applications and to be a part of today. This is a really big deal for us, especially going through all the things that you have and we have as a community over the past school year. So thanks again to everyone, and we'll get rolling here. So today's agenda, we're going to be about 40 minutes and we're going to do our best to stay on time. But we're going to start with just a couple of quick opening comments from our Assistant Director of Special Education, Eric Kloos. Next, we're going to hear from our Commissioner of Education, Dr. Heather Mueller. And again, this is a recorded video. She couldn't be here today, as mentioned earlier, but wanted to make sure that she was able to give us a big congratulations. And then after that, we're going to be doing our celebrating. I put celebrate in bright green because we want at least 80 to 100% of you in tier 1 to be shouting and giving some hoots and hollers during our presentation for the Sustaining Exemplar schools and districts. Next, we're going to go into our presentation. So we have 3 awesome presentations today. One from a district exemplar in Bloomington. So Bloomington Public Schools will be presenting their presentation as an entire district. And then in the South, we have Elizabeth Dean, who will be introducing the South presentation, which is Tri-City United in La Center. And then last, we will be hearing from North Ivan Sand Community High School, which is in the north. And this is a pretty unique opportunity to hear from unique schools this morning and districts to be able to share their experiences with us. And lastly, we'll just have a quick closing remarks. And I just wanted to let folks know that all of this will be posted as soon as possible, and hopefully tomorrow, it sounds like, on our Sustaining Exemplar webpage, which is on our minnesotapbis.org webpage, and that should be linked in the chat here shortly. And at the end of our presentation, we do have Flipgrids. So if you need a reminder or want the link to our Flipgrids this year and didn't have an opportunity to create a short video, we would still love to hear from you. And you can certainly listen in on those or watch them in your free time, and go ahead and make a video if you have time to do that. We will continue to accept those for quite some time. So now I'm just going to turn it over to our Assistant Director of Special Education, Eric Kloos, and he's going to give us a few comments and remarks. I just want to say we're so proud to work for Eric. He is a really fun boss, and yet we really work hard for him. And he's just very skilled and talented and has been doing this for a long time. So we're just really proud to be a part of this, and thank you, Eric.
Yeah, thank you, Janet. And just super briefly, so we can get on to the celebration. Just want to say really a sincere thanks and gratitude for the creativity, the commitment, the drive that we see in all of these examples. It really is heartening in a year that we need lots of heartening work and affirmation to keep going through difficult times. There's often a real emphasis on the launch of new ideas, new initiatives, new things. But what you see throughout this slate of schools and districts that are being recognized is that continuation of the work to really tackle the deeper issues around equity, improved outcomes, and a number of other things that we'll see in those examples. So hats off to you for being so inspirational to us. When I think about just that role of research to practice, there's a lot of research that never really can get off the ground into schools, but you've really shown us what it looks like, why it's important, and for other schools that want to see what it looks like, not just hearing about PBIS, but seeing those real examples in my neighborhood, in my region, at the same grade level that I work. I mean, you provide all of those examples, which are compelling to others that inspire them to get going as well. So Thank you for that. You show that it's practical and doable, and that it's important when you do that work, you're seeing, benefits for staff, students, families, and community. So thanks for your great work, and on to the celebration.
Thanks again, Eric. Okay, so just a brief history, and this is really overall PBIS in Minnesota, and this was mentioned in Eric and Darren's presentation in the opening presentation this morning. We have been implementing in the state of Minnesota since 2005 and continued to scale up over time, as you can see with the graph. From 2005 to 2020-21, we continue to increase the amount of schools and districts that are implementing PBIS and scaling and doing all of the hard work that you have done here today to get here today. And again, as mentioned earlier, we have a total of 821 teams throughout the state of Minnesota implementing PBIS. And those 821 teams make up 43%, which are elementary schools, and just under 40% that are secondary or K-12 schools in the state of Minnesota. And 10% of those are our ALC and special ed programs. So we're really proud to have a very wide and diverse representation of schools and districts in the state. And we want to continue to train schools and help support you all in making those positive impacts on students and families. So we just want to talk quickly today about the exemplar schools and districts and the journey and how you got here. So for those of you who are not a sustaining exemplar school or district being recognized this year, we want you to apply, and we hope that you do. And it's been a long journey for many of our schools, but they make it look easy. So just to give you a little history, for our districts that have applied for district recognition, the expectation is that an entire district is really working together to implement and sustain PBIS, whether they are cohort trained or the district has built that capacity to train their schools and staff. We ask that districts fill out an application and include the following things under the number 2 portion, which is coordination and really making sure that they're communicating with their schools and districts. They're doing training at least 3 times a year. They have coaching support available, whether it be just in schools or district coaching staff, and really making sure they evaluate that using some form of fidelity measure or a district capacity assessment. So for the majority of schools today who are being recognized, you have or they have implemented and sustained PBIS over at least the past year, with 60% or more of their schools who've taken a fidelity measure and met criteria of 70% or better. So that's a really big deal to when we think about an entire district. And we have some large school districts today being represented to continue to do this work on behalf of students and families. For our exemplar school recognition, we ask and have expected that schools are able to implement with fidelity using some form of a fidelity measure, which could be the school-wide evaluation tool, the benchmarks of quality, or a tiered fidelity inventory. And most of the schools that are here today have taken at least one tiered fidelity inventory, if not more, in the school year. They like to use that baseline, typically in the summer or fall, and then again in the winter or spring, to see how they've improved and how they've need to continue to action plan. So everyone here that's being represented in our recognition ceremony has met criteria of 70% or better. And we have a significant number of schools that are 80 and 90%, which is amazing, especially in this past year. So again, the application can be pretty lengthy, but it also really shows the depth of the work that schools have done. We ask that they've at least gone to cohort training for 2 years, and or if you're a non-cohort school, that your district has supported PBIS training, or one of your regions has supported PBIS training in one form or another, so that you're really able to make sure you have those core features implemented. We ask that there is a leadership team or a school team that meets at least monthly to discuss action planning and all of the things that need to be looked at through data to make impacts for the entire school community. And again, using that action planning data, we saw a lot of really amazing data this year, looking at our schools and the applications and how they were able to make some really significant impacts on office discipline referrals and reducing behavior in a multitude of ways. We also ask that we see some form of precision problem solving, that the school teams here today are making sure that they set really high level goals that they can make sure that they have some outcomes for. And again, we've seen a lot of really great outcomes, and especially in the areas of equity and equitable outcomes for students. And then the last piece, or the last couple of pieces, include sustainability and practices. So when we say that a school is being recognized this school year, that means that they've at least implemented PBIS for 2 years. So we're looking back to see if they've implemented and they've maintained that and sustained PBIS practices over the past couple of years. And then lastly, giving back. And you'll see a lot of this in our presentation today, how they give back to the community. And we see so many examples on our Facebook page and through our website and the things that you've shared with us on how to give back to the community with those color runs and those fundraisers, and how you bring in community members and board members and families to really make sure that everybody understands PBIS and it's impacting the community. So just to give a numbers slide here, for this year, which is 2020-21 school year, we had 7 districts apply and met criteria for exemplar status. And that is our highest mark in our history of sustaining exemplars. So that's a really, really big deal. And kudos to you for doing all the work, and through this pandemic and through all of the trials this year and different learning models, to have 7 districts total is huge. You'll see the graph to the right, which has our representation from two districts from the north, 4 from the metro, and then 1 from our southern region. And again, these are districts who have taken district capacity assessment, or really built that capacity with most of the schools in their district to be implementing and then measuring fidelity. So today we have 45 schools, as mentioned yesterday and today, that have applied and met criteria. And as again, you can see to the right, the graph of which areas they represent in the state. And just to give a little history and context behind our exemplars, we have been, since the inception of our exemplars in the state of Minnesota, which was 2014 to 2021, or to present, we've really continued to scale up and to build the capacity within the state of Minnesota. And we just want to give you a hats off and a nod for all of the work that you've done, because you are really the ones doing all of the work. Last year, we had approximately 67 schools who applied and met criteria, and we had 6 districts. And prior to that was 71 schools and then 6 districts. So over time, we've really built up that capacity. And although our number is a little bit lower this year, we totally understand why. And we're really impressed and proud to have the 45 schools and 7 districts here today. So just a quick review again about the schools who are here. Of the 45 schools or programs, we have quite the diverse group of schools that are represented. So we have 30 early childhood, elementary, or K-8 schools or programs. And we have 11 secondary schools and 4 state alternative programs, so ALCs, or various schools that are maybe a little more unique than your typical school, special education co-ops and things like that. This is really impressive, and we're really proud again to see this kind of capacity that's built throughout the state, because we know that you can use all of these examples. Oftentimes, and I've worked in schools and many of you have, we think that our building can be very unique, or we think we're different than some, and oh, how are we going to do this? And to really have these examples here today, we encourage you to reach out to one another and to utilize our webpage to look at all of the sustaining exemplars since 2014, to tap into those resources and ask questions and contact one another to help support each other in implementing PBIS. And then lastly, we have our 7 districts who applied and met criteria, which was mentioned before. And again, the criteria for schools on the right. So today we have a graph here, and we love our graphs and our data here in PBIS, so we couldn't go without showing you some data. So we have a representation of all of the 45 schools today and which cohort they were in. So as you can see, looking at the bottom there, we have 3 schools today just from cohort 1. So we're talking about 2005, and they're continuing to implement PBIS. So even if they had to re-engage or needed to reconnect and be retrained through some other form or way through one of our regions, we have cohorts here for all the way from 2005. And then lastly, you see our non-cohort. We have one school being represented today for a non-cohort school, which is Osseo Area Learning Center. And a big shout out to them for being the only single non-cohort school that applied this year. Typically we have more. And what that means is they did not go through cohort training, but they were able to be trained because Osseo has really been scaling up and implementing PBIS for 10 years, as you will see in their presentation. And so they are here today and we're happy to have them. Okay, so next up we have a message from our commissioner, and I'm gonna just get some things set up. And
Hi, I'm Minnesota's Education Commissioner.
Let me know if
Heather
you can
Mueller,
hear it
and I'm
okay.
excited to congratulate you on earning the recognition. Hi, I'm Minnesota's Education Commissioner Heather Mueller, and I'm excited to congratulate you on earning the recognition of Exemplar School or District through the Minnesota PBIS initiative. At the Minnesota Department of Education, we are incredibly proud of your commitment to implementing PBIS with fidelity amidst all of the challenges of this past school year. Being named an exemplar school or a district this year in particular is no small feat. You have persevered and demonstrated excellence in creating equitable structures and systems during a pandemic and through political unrest. Now, more than ever, our students and families need our support, our compassion, and our innovation, and you have risen to meet this challenge. On behalf of MDE and our state, I want to thank you and congratulate you for becoming 2020-2021 Sustaining Exemplar Schools or Districts. The purpose of Minnesota PBIS recognition is to identify and recognize exemplar schools and districts each year that are currently implementing PBIS at a high level and are continuing to achieve positive student outcomes by sustaining school-wide PBIS. This encompasses, as you know, having a building or a district leadership team, collecting and using data for action planning and decision making, involving families and the community, and making progress toward positive outcomes that impact improved school climate. It is wonderful to have 45 sustaining exemplar schools and 8 districts who have met or exceeded fidelity of implementation and sustaining PBIS this year. There are a number of great stories from exemplar schools to choose from, but I'm going to share just a couple with you now. The first is from Hennepin Elementary School. It's a charter school in the metro region being recognized this year. The school is implementing PBIS, restorative practices, and trauma-informed care, and has committed through their strategic plan to change discipline policies in order to be more inclusive. By making this change, Hennepin Elementary has been able to address behavior through a more equitable lens and reduce the number of suspensions overall this year. Another wonderful example of a sustaining PBIS school that is also supported district-wide is Forest Lake High School. As a high school with nearly 2,000 students, the team found through the use of data that the biggest challenge for staff was engaging students in the classroom, and that staff morale was challenged by the shifts in our learning models. The PBIS school team took this data and moved to action. The team utilized CASTLE strategies to advance equity in education through social emotional learning. Within a week, all staff received tools to support student engagement, using regular class time to support students failing classes, and other strategies such as a systematic ritual and routine, engaging activities and lessons, and culturally responsive teaching and the brain. There are so many amazing examples that we can all learn from and that we will share on the MDE website very soon. Congratulations again on this accomplishment, and thank you for your outstanding team-based efforts during this challenging year.
All right. Thank you so much to Dr. Heather Mueller, who is here virtually today. And just want to remind folks of how important your work has been to have our Commissioner of Education here today and to take the time to make a video for us. And having our Assistant Commissioner Darren Cordy on the call this morning was it's really fantastic. There's a lot going on at the state, as you know, and we just really appreciate having that support. So next up, we are actually going to do our ceremony this year and celebrate. So I want to encourage you to give a little shout or a hoot and holler if you feel like you want to give us some excitement or share your excitement with us. We're just going to go through each slide and you can take a look at the pictures and some of the great things that all of the schools and districts have done this year. So we have Bloomington Public Schools. We have District 191, Burnsville, Egan, Savage.
Woo, woo, woo.
Cambridge Isani Schools, another district being recognized.
Woo-hoo!
Next up, we have Eastern Carver County Schools. And we have Osseo area schools here in the house. And we have St. Cloud Area School Districts. And lastly, we have Waterville, Elysian, Morristown as our district being represented.
Yay, wow.
So just a quick review, we have Bloomington Public Schools here, Burnsville, Egan, Savage, Cambridge, Isani, Eastern Carver County, Osseo Area Schools, St. Cloud Area School District, and Waterville, Elysian, Morristown, who are all being recognized today as our districts. All right, so our exemplar schools in the north will be first. Cambridge Primary School. Clearview Elementary. Isanti Intermediate School.
Woo!
Ivan Sand Community School, which we will hear from shortly. Kennedy Community School in St. Cloud. King Elementary School. Lake Park Audubon Elementary. Meadowvale Elementary School. Mississippi Heights Elementary School. North Junior High. Onamia Elementary. Pine River Bacchus Elementary School. And we have our one Quarryview Education Center, who is in our early childhood program. We're happy that you're here today, Quarryview. Rice Elementary in Sauk Rapids, Rice. Sauk Middle School. Washington Elementary School. Westwood Elementary in St. Cloud. White Pine, Leaf River, Elm Tree Academies. Zimmerman Middle and High School. And next up, we have our exemplar schools in the metro. First, Battle Creek Middle School.
Go Panthers.
Thanks, Paul. Benjamin E. Mays. Bloomington Transition Center. Chanhassen High School. Eagle Ridge Middle School.
Woohoo!
Edinbrook Elementary.
Woohoo!
Edward Neal Elementary.
Woo woo!
Forest Lake Area High School. Hennepin Elementary. You heard them mentioned in the commissioner's video earlier. Heritage East STEM Magnet School. Hidden Oaks and Twin Oaks Middle School in Prior Lake. Laketown Elementary School. Nicollet Middle School.
Nicolette!
Oakview Elementary.
Go Huskies! Woohoo!
Osseo Area Learning Center.
Woohoo!
Rice Lake Elementary. Shirley Hills Primary School. Sky Oaks Elementary.
Woo woo!
Vista View Elementary.
Another one! Woo woo!
Washburn Elementary. William Byrne Elementary School.
William Byrne!
Love it. And our exemplar schools in the South. We have I.J. Holton Intermediate School. Morristown from Waterville, Elysian, Morristown, 5-8. Team Academy Charter School. Tri-City United La Center. Waterville, Elysian, Morristown Elementary. Way to represent today. And just a quick glance again at all of our recognition schools that were cohort trained and our one non-cohort. We're so proud and happy that you made it here today. And we hope that you continue to apply to be a recognition school. If you need any support, our contacts will be in the chat. It will be in many of the presentations, and reach out to any of our regional reps that are here today. So as we transition, just get my audio taken care of.
Hi, I'm Minnesota.
All right, so next we're going to have our showcase from 3 of our exemplar schools or districts today. And I'm going to let Lauren go ahead and introduce the team. And if you want to just give me a heads up when you want me to switch slides, I can certainly do that for you. Or if you want me to share screens with you and let you share your screen, I can do that as well. So take it away, Lauren Spar.
Well, congratulations to all of the districts and school sites on earning recognition as sustaining exemplars. That recognition is most certainly well deserved. As Janet said, my name is Lauren Spar. I am the regional coordinator for PBIS in the Metro. At this time, we're going to hear directly from 3 sustaining exemplar recipients from across Minnesota. And I have the pleasure of introducing the first of these. Thank you so much for being here at Bloomington Public Schools. We are really excited to hear from you. Thanks.
Hello, I'm Heidi Agee. I am the PBIS coordinator for Bloomington Public Schools. Thank you so much for having us. This is our first year earning the Sustaining Exemplar District Award, and we are very proud of ourselves, especially during the pandemic. It's been tough, but we did it. So, next one, please. I wanted to highlight 4 things that I feel Bloomington Public Schools did really well this past year. The first one is our district learning matrices. I asked our schools at the beginning of the year to create matrices for our distance learning. Our elementaries went in and out of different models 6 times last year, and our secondary schools went back in person in March. So they were all gone for almost a whole year. So we really needed these distance learning matrices. The second one is we became really creative collaborators. We found ways to support each other through Google Meets, emails, phone calls, all kinds of different ways. The third thing is we really implemented some weekly PBIS messages with the use of our tech integrationists. We have some really creative people in our district, and they made weekly videos to send out to schools or to send out to their students in distance learning and in person. And the last one, I just want to highlight our exemplar schools. We have consistently received the Sustaining Exemplar School Awards from many of our elementary and secondary schools. Next one, please. Go ahead. So as I mentioned earlier, Bloomington Public Schools started the 2021 school year in distance learning. Our students and staff needed guidance and structure while preparing for a year of uncertainty. The PBIS coaches and their teams quickly created new matrices to address the needs of this new learning platform. And if you want to click on that right there, yep. I just put together all of our distance learning matrices. We have 17 buildings in the Bloomington Public Schools, from early childhood all the way up to our BTC. And most of them, not all of them, but most of them were able to create matrices quickly and got them out to their students and their staff. And I was really impressed with, the work that they put into them. They really put some good thought and effort into making sure it met the needs of their students. And unfortunately, our high schools are not on the PBS training yet, but we're working on them. So we'll get there. All right. The next slide, please. One other thing we did is we created a PBS matrix review. It's just a little roll and chat game. It's something that I came up that schools could use, so there was consistently review of the new matrices because they're new to the students. And so we had a lot of positive feedback on that kids from preschool all the way up to the high school level were able to review the matrices. Next slide. Next slide. One thing that we did this year, because we weren't able to meet in person, we have monthly check-ins with the coaches. So I go through different expectations that we have that they should be working on monthly. You can look, we have a PBS scope and sequence if you want to go to that monthly reminder. And each month I just kind of highlight what they are to be working on. I like the 4 different areas. The first one is information for data, systems planning, implementation practices, and then how to communicate with your staff. This is just a great way to keep us on track. It starts in August, talks about the first week of school, and then from there on it goes monthly. But this is just a great way to keep our whole, we have quite a large team to keep all of us on track and to make sure that we're meeting expectations each month. So I wish I could take credit for this, but I did not make this, but I inherited it and I love it. So the other thing is we met online this past year and we loved it. I was in the breakout session yesterday with the Sauk Rapids Rice team, and they're doing online meetings, and I think it's just a great thing for our coaches. Most of our coaches are full-time classroom teachers, and so this is something that they're doing in addition to their contracted job. And so meeting online gave us a lot of flexibility, and we also had a better attendance. We were able to have more coaches come to our meetings. I'm hoping that next year we can have more than just 2 meetings a year, face to face. We'll see. Next slide. As I mentioned earlier, one thing that came out this year is the coaches were really wondering how they can get the same message to 2 different learning models, how they can get their PBIS message to our distance learners and also to our in-person learners. And they came up with these weekly news segments that they made. This was not something that I told them they had to do. This was something they did on their own because they knew that's what's best for students. I won't play them right now because they're a little bit lengthy, but they will be posted in this slideshow and you'll be able to watch them. The first one is from Indian Mounds and the second one is from Washburn Elementary. Next slide. And lastly, I'm just really proud of Bloomington Public Schools. We consistently rank among the top PBI schools in the state. And since the 2014-2015 school year, our schools have been recognized 9 times as PBI sustaining exemplar schools. Washburn Elementary, which is my home school, has been a recipient of this award 4 times over the last 6 years, which is amazing. Another one who is consistently being recognized is Bloomington Transition Center. If you had a chance to listen to Melissa and Luann and the student panel this morning, you'll understand why. They are amazing. Melissa was the PBS coordinator before me, and I had big shoes to fill, and she has just been a wonderful asset to our district and to the Bloomington Transition Center. And lastly, this is our first year as an Exemplar District Award winner, and we are very grateful for that. So thank you very much.
Heidi, thank you so much. I just wanted to say hello, and it's great to see you virtually. You're kind of in person today. We did a lot of communicating over the past couple of months, and it's very clear and evident that you are a hard worker and your team has worked hard at the district level to get to this point. So we may have time for questions at the end, but I know Heidi is very open about sharing things. If anyone wants to reach out, if you could drop your email in the chat, that would be great. Otherwise, you can contact Lauren Spar, who will get you that information. So thank you so much, and we're so glad you're here, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you so much. One thing, unfortunately, I'm currently in Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh,
my son is here for a baseball tournament, and so I have to duck out right now to get to the baseball game, but I will leave my information so you can contact me.
perfect.
Thank you.
Don't want to miss that game. All right. Thanks, Heidi.
Bye.
Bye. So here's the email. If you'd like to go ahead and jot that down, hagee@isd271.org, or feel free to reach out. All right, next up, I'm going to ask Liz Dean, our Southern Regional Implementation Project Manager, to introduce Tri-City United and Lillis Center.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. We're excited to see you all here today. I'm thrilled to announce and introduce our exemplar school from Southern Minnesota. TCU Lillis Center is a K-8 school and was part of cohort 6. Since training many years ago, TCU Lillis Center has expertly implemented the core components of PBIS while continually implementing new innovative ideas each year. This year, the team really rose to that challenge. The staff are organized, committed, and continually looking to improve. Really such an inspiration. We've had them speak and talk about some of the great things that they're doing throughout the last couple of years. So it's very exciting to welcome Jenny Walskog, who is a PBIS team member from Tri-City United La Center. And hopefully she can share some more ideas about their successes and some of the great things that they're doing. Welcome, Jenny.
Hi, good morning. Thank you. I hope that my internet's cooperating. It's been a little sketchy today, but thank you so much. We're so excited to have this honor to share out a little bit about how we were able to sustain PBIS during a COVID year. And I kind of think that that's definitely been our theme is let's make sure we don't lose touch with what our core values are as a school, and PBIS is definitely one of those. But yeah, so we worked really hard to ensure that we were able to sustain some things in our building with regards to PBIS. And one of them, I think I shared some slides. So are you able to share those or bring those up?
Is that what you're looking for?
There it is. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
One of the things that we did this year that was just a little different, a way for us to continue to sustain was our monthly assemblies. And our monthly assemblies were virtual for the whole year. Obviously, there were times where we were distant or in person, but we held them virtually all year. And we really were able to transform how we do those to make sure that we can still do them. We had a slideshow rather than be all in person in our gym. We still have the same typical format where we shared our monthly theme and we celebrated all the positives that were going on in our building by putting the students of the month up as a slide on the slide deck rather than calling them down. And the really neat thing about this, and we might not go away from it completely, is that then we would have that slide deck playing in our TVs throughout the building. We would post it on social media. So parents, they would find out about their child earning student of the month, in a more timely way as well. Sometimes those certificates don't always make their way home on that right away that first day. So their parents would find out about it. And then also involving the community then too, to see some of the ways that we're celebrating the positives. One thing that we added is during COVID was we, as a district, we're always working on becoming better and doing better and knowing better. And we want to work on our equity and access. And one way we're doing that is making sure we're celebrating all the different cultures that are represented in our school. And so we have a monthly multicultural focus as well to make sure that we're celebrating everyone. And each month we would focus on a different culture. We would have books and lessons, biography studies, some history facts. We'd create some games so that our monthly activity that we would do at our normal assembly would be virtual, and it would be revolving around that multicultural group of the month. And we would continuously bring it back and share, how are we different? How are we the same? And how is that great? So celebrating those positive things too. We can go to the next slide. Thank you. One of the other things that we tried to sustain was making sure that we're honoring our students continuously. We had, we call it different tiers, tier 1, 2, and 3 of recognition for our students. The tier 1 recognition is kind of one of those tickets that you pass out all the time. And we were able to do that, especially in the distance learning model or hybrid model with a virtual tracker. And so the students could kind of see their ticket count going up over the time. And then once we came back to being in person, we were handing them out in person and doing live drawings virtually. And then on the tier 2 recognition, we typically would give those out maybe 2 a week to our students. And we were mailing those in the form of a postcard when we were not in person. So we were able to kind of sustain that as well. And then our pictures on our Titan Wall of Honor went from a group gathering to the slideshow picture image of our students that were being honored and hung near our trophy case and recognition displays. Next slide, please. And then finally, we wanted to make sure we're continuously honoring our staff. They had quite the year this year, as we all know. So we made sure that we were virtually tracking the golden shoes as they were traveling when we worked from home. And then also making sure that we're including all building groups. So it was wonderful to see how the paraprofessionals, the kitchen staff, the custodial staff, the office staff, nobody was forgotten. And so those golden shoes definitely put on some miles even during distance learning. We had some opportunities to honor our staff by giving them shout outs, whether that be handing them the certificate of a shout out, sending it to them virtually, or else sharing out at a staff meeting. And then our school board and district level acknowledgement included certificates, and those would be handed to staff members. They may be honored at the virtual school board meeting, but eventually a certificate would make their way to the staff member as well. So we're really proud of, after March 2020 hit and PBIS sort of slowed down for us in that amid brand new COVID time, that when September came, our team hit the ground running. We knew that we needed to make sure that we were able to sustain everything we've been doing in the past, just in new, different ways. So that's what I had to share. Thank you for allowing me to share. We're very excited to be honored. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jenny from Tri-City United Schools. We're so happy that you're here. I love the golden shoe from staff to staff. We'll have to implement something like that at the Department of Education. I think that's really cool. So thank you so much for being here. If you're able to hang on for a little bit, we'd love to ask questions if there is time. If not, again, we'll make sure we share your information, and hopefully you're open to people asking questions about TCU. All right, thanks again.
No problem. Thank you.
So there's the information if you'd like to jot it down. All right, and our last showcase today is our northern region, and we have Ivan Sand Community High School today from Elk River. And I'm going to ask Erin Agnes to introduce them, and we'll be ready for our last presentation this morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here. Happy to introduce Ivan Sand Community High School and Middle School. They are a cohort 7 school. And what really stood out in their application to me was their use of data and how they really use that to determine how to support behaviors, and the fact that they really concentrated on supporting staff as well this year. So I'm going to pass it over to the team to share with you what they are doing.
Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jill Bush. I am the PBIS coach at Ivan Sand Community High School and Middle School. As Erin said, we are in Elk River, Minnesota. I think I shared some slides. If you could go to the first one. At Ivan Sand, our motto is the Ivan Sand way: respect, responsibility, and kindness. And we give out WOW tickets for those items being displayed. So you can go ahead to the next one. There's a picture of our building and our staff online, obviously, as we worked together virtually this year to continue our PBIS mission and vision as we went throughout the different learning models. We are an ALC school, and we serve approximately 120 students in grades 7 through 12. We are a pretty small staff, just about 12 teachers and support staff and admin. And again, our Ivan Sand way is respect, responsibility, and kindness. Go ahead. So here's just a picture of our matrix and kind of what we expect under each area there. Some of our highlights from this year are our staff buy-in. This is actually a highlight for us every single year. We have 100% buy-in from our staff. We're all willing to do whatever it takes to support our students and our families and our community through PBIS, and everyone is really willing to jump in and do their best in that way. Something that we're really proud of this year is turning all of our WOW tickets that are typically just paper that we hand out and we do our drawings in person. We turned all of those into a virtual format this year with using Google Forms, and then it will send a certificate to the student in their email simultaneously. So that was pretty cool. And we also turned all of our virtual our quarterly awards ceremonies into a virtual format as well. So they were posted on Schoology, and we could also recognize students that were distance learning even when we had some students in the building in person. So we could recognize all of our students. Finally, we had a lot of support this year from our community donors, so we were able to still recognize our students, giving them gift cards, things like that, mailing them home when they would win at quarterly awards, drawings, wow drawings, things like that. So we're really grateful for all of our community partners that continued to donate to us throughout this year. And finally, as Erin said a little bit, we had some focus behavior areas, and we used our Swiss data to really hone in on those and figure out what we can do to make those areas better for our students in our school, to make it a safe learning environment for everybody, and one that would be productive for them to learn throughout the different learning models. So I'll talk about that a little bit further in the next slides. Go ahead. So this is just a picture of our wow ticket that went virtual, and the certificate that students would receive in their email whenever they got a wow ticket. Staff would fill out the Google form, and then the students would receive that. And then I used those. I did a drawing every other Thursday and posted it online on Schoology for our distance learners to see as well when they won. So students really enjoyed it, and they were really excited to come and grab their prize and things like that, and just be announced in the building, so that it kind of built community. So it was really pretty cool. Go ahead. So this is the focus area I was talking a little bit about. We decided to focus in on our hallways. We were noticing a lot of ODRs from that specific location. And upon returning from distance learning, we noticed this because we had some different protocols that were in place due to COVID and making it safe for everybody. So we had a one-way traffic flow around our building. Again, it's a pretty small building, and it kind of goes in a square. So we had the students travel in all one direction so that they had less contact. So, and then obviously masks were required. And so we had some students that were doing some leaving early and skipping as well. So we were like, okay, what do we need to do to fix our hallway situation? So we really focused in on wanting to reduce the ODRs in the hallway by 50% from March to June when school got out. So some things that we did were we educated the students about why we were doing these things. We talked about it in advisory class and in classes. We reinforced the expectations. Staff were really present in the hallways. We were all standing outside of our rooms during every passing time and kind of monitoring the bathrooms and things like that very actively. And then we did some positive things. So we handed out wows for kids doing the right thing in the hallway. And also we had lifesavers that said thank you. So we would just, hand these out as a quick thank you for doing the right thing and following those protocols. So our results were really good. We have a really small student population, especially we had about 50% of our students in building in person, and some were still online. So we went from March, where we had 5 ODRs in this area, down to just 1 in April and May. So we saw some results right away. So that was really a good area to focus on and to eliminate those ODRs. So you can go ahead to the next slide. And then this is just a picture of our hallway and kind of our signage, and just kind of a little, so you can picture what our building looks like. So thank you so much for having us today. We're really excited to be honored as a Exemplar school. This is our first time. So really, this just speaks to all the hard work of our staff and coming together. And I'm really so proud of everybody. And I'm proud to be the PBIS coach for our building. So thanks.
Thank you so much, Jill. Thank you for being here today. Having worked in an ALC myself, and I'm sure others on the Institute have as well, you understand, and I guess I understand how it can be a challenge to get students engaged, to not skip class, to just stay in school. And I love the ideas with the lifesavers and having directions in walking the right way, because we know how it goes. Lots of crowds in the hall and not wanting to go to class because their peers are a little more exciting than adults in academics sometimes. So thank you again. And I appreciate it if you can hang on too for just a moment. I believe we might have some time for questions here, just a couple minutes.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And then again, this is contact information for Ivan Sand Community School, and it's Deanna's address here, and then also Jill's. I love the green theme as well. Okay, so before we end our celebration this morning, I do want to take a minute to ask if anyone has any questions for either, hold on one second. Bear with my technology here. Are there any questions that folks have for any of our schools or districts that presented today, or any other exemplar recognition questions?
I'm just going to jump in. We are a little bit behind schedule. The next session started at 11:35, so this is technically our break time right now. So if there are time for questions and people are staying around, that's fine. Just wanted to really quick let you know that in this link, we will have the integrating PBIS efforts into improvement plans with Eric Kloos. The other link, there will be the Pave Your Way Back After a Significant Event with Erin Agnes and Megan Gruis. And that will start at 11:35. So we have just a few minutes if you needed to take a quick stretch, get a fresh cup of coffee, whatever you need to do. Just wanted to pop in for that reminder.
Thanks, Erin. I thought we had more time, so I appreciate it very much.
Janet, I think you're on mute.
Oh, thank you. Just want to say thanks again to everyone. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat or ask any one of us at any time. And we appreciate you being here, and congratulations again.